There are things that make sense, and then there are things that make sense only to certain people. Here are 5 things people kind of think is normal, but really aren't. In fact, some of them could even get you to an emergency room if you're not careful. Welcome to One Away. In this video, we're about to discuss common assumptions that people are unaware or annoyingly believe are just normal, even if science hits them in the face. But, before that, please give us a like on this video. And, please hit that subscribe button to get updates on our latest videos. Not shut their mouths. There are a good number of people who haven't learned to use the nose to breathe. Even worse, people seem to think it's normal to use the mouth to breathe. You've probably seen it before. When someone is gasping for air despite a brisk walk. When someone is asleep, and they snore with mouths wide open. Or even when they take a substantial breath, and inhale the air inside their mouths. Can you imagine the number of bacteria and pollution that happens? In no reasonable medical text that argues that the mouth is another nose, the mouth is only ever for the consumption of food. This has been argued by performance specialist and Buteyko instructor, Patrick McKeown in his seminars and in his book, The Oxygen Advantage. It's not normal to use the mouth for the breath, it emits out carbon dioxide, which is important to put the signal to breathe and contain oxygen saturation. It's also a common thing for people to take in leaps of breath since people think it brings oxygen. But, in order for oxygen to function in the body, it has to get, as with all cases in the body, converted. And, carbon dioxide has a great role in that function, which is reduced if you use the mouth to breathe. There's also a near magical compound when you use the nose to breathe, nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is quite powerful, that it gave the researcher who discovered it and its function a Nobel Prize. That nose filter that blocks and even cleans out pathogens in the air. That in part is the nitric oxide, as well as the nose's filter for absorbable air. Among many of its uses, nitric oxide has a tranquilizer-like function that puts the immune system, and the metabolic system to effectively and efficiently handle stress. That's because it affects your nervous system. This is known as McKeown highlights, from Konstantin Buteyko. When patients were seriously ill or severely stressed, they had their mouths open, with gasps of air. Could you then have the mouths closed, and use the nose to reduce the symptoms? Scientists who studied hunters who made persistence hunts and chased their prey pointed out that the hunters rarely, if ever, open their mouths. That is the nose, nitric oxide, carbon dioxide, and oxygen saturation at work. You can imagine this is all useful if a virus hits or if a pandemic occurs. Never close our eyes. Though the singer Adam Lambert probably only saw it as a metaphor, it seems like an epidemic in America. And for that matter, Japan, one of the countries with a long, extensive list of work hours. Granted, this isn't something that countries all over find normal. But, in this heavily digital world, don't get surprised that becomes the new normal. An epidemic of sleep crises seems the norm for businesses and entrepreneurs, and it's at a point that normal people are into it too, even at their devices. Even fitness fanatic Arnold Schwarzenegger said that if you wanted to increase performance, sleepless. Sleep is very important to performance, and it isn't normal to operate like these company performers commit to, and not pay the price. It's been pointed out by many articles in the Huffington Post. It's been meta-analyzed by many scientists. It's normal, and enhances performance, when you take breaks and sleep more even with 6 hours to a start. If you want to learn more about sleep and other tricks to boost your ability to become a genius, you can find out more on our video, Can We Really Use 100% of Our Brain Capacity? The science and tips will surprise you. Wolf down your food. The fact that many people eat their food very fast is a sin. Heck, even noted chef and UK TV personality Gino D'Acampo once admitted that his grandmother taught him well. Chew your food. The chef, of course, found that it took forever. And not just his grandmother, but probably most great-grandmothers before, in all kinds of families have probably given this timeless advice. And it's great wisdom. Problem is, people seem to think the opposite is true. People eat fast in the car, or on the telephone, or when they watch a film or television show. People seem to think it's a normal thing, and then complain about why they're hungry all the time or overweight. Case in point, summer tomato blogger and author of Foodist, Daria Pino, once had a friend ask her about the best diet program to lose the pooch. And she replied, "Have you tried chewing? But that's the thing. It seems people don't chew enough, and put all kinds of foods and think their stomach is a pouch. Turns out, your stomach is linked to your brain and your mouth when it comes to a meal. To chew your food is really a signal for your mouth to break down the food, and your stomach to release digestive enzymes to chemically use the particles for nourishment. Get this, scientists point out that it takes 20 minutes on average to get your brain to realize it's eaten enough. When people shove food to their mouths or wolf down your meal, a great majority of this is bypassed. Also, when it comes to wolves and meals, humans differ a good bunch. Wolves don't technically chew their food, but use their fangs to tear them apart, then have that food stuff, mostly meat, stay in their stomach for quite a while. Which is why they are carnivores. Though there are other factors, you'd make your wolf or dogs underperform if you feed them stuff that isn't meat. But we humans, with all our intellect, can't seem to figure that out. So, unless you're a wolf, chew like a cow. Matt Mullenweg of WordPress, for example, lost 18 pounds in 2 months and chewed his food around 20 times. That's cool. Take the toilet like royalty. It's almost the gospel truth today, to head to the bathroom and sit on the toilet, to take a dump. And, it's been what people have thought about for centuries. That's not to say it's normal though. The toilet seat, and its many horrors, had been popularized by a guy named John. The rest of his name kind of rhymes with what's eliminated in the toilet, so, we'll leave that aside. John knew that many of the royalty commissioned people to make toilets so they could commit to the deed without the embarrassment of a squat. If he could make it happen for the rest, we would all become kings and queens in some manner. Which is unfortunate, as the squat, when it comes to the deed, is what humans have adapted to. For many people outside America and probably other G7 developed countries, they have this as common knowledge, so, not all countries think it's normal to sit in the toilet. Sometimes, people from developed countries even called this the third world squat. We'll leave the politics about that alone. The squat though, makes the deed that much safer and more effective or efficient, as there's a muscle there that is untightened when you make a squat. Some companies like Squatty Potty even capitalize on it and market it as a stool to help you eliminate more, due to the untightened muscle. Can't say you can blame them though, as this was the normal system to eliminate, long time ago. If the stuff that comes out kind of looks like a Play-Doh, you might want to give the squat or Squatty Potty an experiment. Get that son of a star away from me. Many people, especially today, avoid exposure to the sun. It's kind of like the new normal. In fact, you could even say it's the real pandemic when a pandemic hits. When people head off to the beach, they put the sunscreen on, just in case the sun rays come around. Most of that is because the sun is associated with skin cancer. You can even see this in some tropical areas, often with umbrellas, where the sunshine is abundant. Though the reasons are really cultural, most people in these areas seem to think it lighter, fairer, paler skin is healthy. In both cases, it's pretty unnatural to avoid the sun. One of the best health figures online, Eric Berg, made a case that vitamin D from sunlight isn't just recommended, we need it. High vitamin D from the sun significantly reduces what is called a cytokine storm when people react to a virus threat in the system. Vitamin D from the sun helps to make your bones strong, but also makes it less susceptible to long-term bone damage. Also, vitamin D from the sun reduces your blood pressure through the cholesterol conversion from sunlight to vitamin D. Vitamin D is that rare vitamin that can make a lot of benefits because it's really a hormone and even helps you sleep. It's not just a source of vitamins. In fact, lack of vitamin D and sunlight can make rickets a serious thing for your bones and skin, not to mention a reduction in immunity. It's pretty hard to respect the sun when almost every person in the world thinks it's a phantom menace. Why on God's green earth would it exist if it didn't have some use then? It's basically one of the only sections of the 5 elements humans haven't contaminated. Some food for thought. These are some of the most commonplace things that people think are normal or take for granted, despite the evidence. And these were everyday stuff. Imagine if you're a billionaire. If you're interested, check out our video on the dumbest things that billionaires own. It's flat out ridiculous. In any case, we'd like to ask, have you ever had to prove people wrong? What do you think are things people think are normal, but don't really make a lot of sense? Please leave us some comments for thoughts about this video, or if you have any suggestions for topics that are of interest to you.